Thank you, Sandy.
We'll call the meeting to order. I guess, you know, we're in the presence of greatness tonight in that the senior class president is here in attendance. So Jack LeBeau, would you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? Even though we did it once before, again, the president is here.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Tracy, right, and Jack, and Sarah, and I forgot your name. Amelia are here from the Contemporary Issues class tonight. It's nice to have high school kids at a Selectmen meeting tonight. Welcome. Great to see you. I made a friend in Sarah today. We sat across from each other at Rotary because it was a big day for Sarah. She was also the Rotarian Student of the Month. Oh, wow. So congratulations. Congratulations. There is an additional agenda. Let's start this meeting over
Want me to try?
without the pledge. There is an additional agenda item that we need to add.
I'll move to add an agenda item to be heard first under new business as agenda item 2 for the purpose of approving an amendment to the solid waste management services agreement between SCARA and the town of East Lyme.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? So additional consent items? Otherwise, we'll go to delegations. Would anyone like to speak to the Board of Selectmen this evening? Mr. Schultz. Nice to see you. Been a little while.
Nice to be back.
Welcome.
This is only a comment. Is there any way of verifying that the sound system is working at the same time that the television is programmed? So that for us folks at home that can't make a meeting, don't have to just watch it on TV, but can actually listen to the conversation. And the reason I'm saying it is that I think it was the last one of the meeting before the Board of Finance meeting, there was no sound as to whether or not it could be verified, or is there some number that we could put out that if we don't get it, we could call and say we have a problem.
Well, generally we don't go. We have dialogue, but Mike, since it's a non-political question, and just a point of information,
yeah.
We could turn up the volume right now on that TV because that's just live TV, and to see if it goes up and down.
Actually, there's a delay on that. We'd be talking.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
we wouldn't keep it on, but
Okay.
we just see the sound. But I had a meeting today with an audio-visual group that was going to redo the audio-visual for the town.
Okay.
So we'll have microphones at the front table, but also microphones for the audience if someone can't get up to the podium. We're also going to digitize. The analog signal that we have today will be digital. I think that's a better way of saying it, to meet up with the standards of cable television these days. And this is all in conjunction with the new police facility that, because dispatch is down there and it will be changing, everything else has to change with it. But it's time for an upgrade.
Right,
No doubt about it. And I apologize for past and future, probably, unfortunately, problems, but we're going to get it fixed.
Thank you.
Mr.
right.
Nickerson, could
Yes,
you
ma'am.
ask him what he was trying to watch that on, whether it was Channel 22 or?
Was it Channel 22?
Channel 22. Yeah.
Did you go back and look at the YouTube video afterwards, by any chance?
YouTube. I'm still using a flip phone.
A flip phone, if you didn't see
If
that.
it isn't on
right, that'll
TV, I'm out of luck.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah, we've had issues. And thank you for bringing it to our attention, Mr. Schultz. Does anyone else like to speak this evening? Okay. The approval of the minutes of the regular meeting of September 18th, 2019.
Move to approve the regular meeting minutes of September 18th, 2019 as submitted.
Second.
We have a motion. It's been seconded. Any corrections or comments? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? Terrific. Consent calendar?
Move to approve the consent calendar for the meeting of October 2nd, 2019 in the amount of $666.10.
Second?
Motion seconded. Any further comment? Corrections? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? We'll go on to new business. We inserted something before A, so I don't know what that letter would be. But
We have A1 and A2.
No, we just did, Sandy just did number
inserted
two.
up at
Oh,
the
I
beginning.
see.
So,
Straight
so
two.
Mr. Burgai has just some information he wants to share with us, and we're seeking an authorization to have the first selectman sign a renewal contract with SCARA.
The town of East Lyme has been very fortunate to be a part of SCARA, the Regional Waste Authority, for over 25 years, and it's been a very, very good partnership with 13 other area towns. Over these last 25 years, we've been sending the garbage up to Preston, which if you go out to Mohegan Sun, go across the Mohegan Bridge, there's that smokestack, that's the recycling, just from a location standpoint. We just I'm on the executive board for SCARA, and we just renegotiated the contract, and as of January 1st, 2021, we're actually going to be moving that waste stream to Lisbon. So again, going up 395 up in Lisbon. It's the other smokestack. Believe it or not, there's two plants. They gave us like a deal that was 20% less than what we're paying now. It's by far the lowest tip fee in the state. It's a fantastic deal for the town of East Lyme. Why we're here is because they have all the attorneys just like all the towns do, and Wheelabrator, which is the company there, wants this agreement in the municipal services agreement with all their towns that all the waste flow will go to Lisbon from the year 2020 to 2030. We got prices, just like it's almost in the town where you get multiple prices, and we got prices from where we're going now and where this one it's an excellent deal for the town. They're just SCARA is looking for all the towns to revise their municipal service agreement to extend another 10 years and to direct the waste flow, all the waste coming from East Lyme going to the Lisbon plant. So that's what the amendment is. It's something the Board of Selectmen should authorize the first selectman to sign. I've read the document as being on the executive board. It's very favorable to the town of East Lyme, and that's what we're here for.
Terrific. And
I'll put a motion out first.
Sure.
Okay, I'll move to approve the amendment number 5 to the Solid Waste Management Services Agreement between the Southeastern Connecticut Regional Resources Recovery Authority and the town of East Lyme, and authorize the first selectman to execute any and all documents necessary.
I'll second.
terrific. Are there any comments or questions? Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Does this in any way change the fact that we can no longer do any recyclables of plastics beyond number 2? Will they accept the higher numbers?
This is not a recycling issue. This municipal service agreement is all about trash. Recycling is a different contract.
All
So
right,
what
so this is
we're
not-
talking about, the recycling that we're talking about has nothing to do with this issue. Recycling is a contract we're looking with Willimantic Waste. So that's a different issue.
All right, so then basically there's no change in what they will accept to
Correct.
what we've
It's-
previously been sending?
It's exactly the same. Everything's the same provisions. It's just basically we're rerouting the trash, and we're extending this, because in the town of East Lyme is unusual to all the other 13 towns. It's East Lyme, New London, and Waterford, the only towns that actually pick up our trash. Everyone else has contractors, so they might have CWPM or one of these other contractors, and in those towns, they have to tell that commercial operator, you have to take it here. Where in our case, it's our employees. We know where we're going. We're driving up there, so that's where everyone has to, in the town of East Lyme and all these 13 towns, that's why we get this good deal, is that we're pulling 135,000 tons of trash to one location, and that's why we're able to negotiate and get such a favorable, the best price in the state of Connecticut.
The 135 tons, that is annually?
Annually for all 13 towns. We're about 10,000 tons, the town of East Lyme. We actually went down by about 3% last year. And the recycling issue is a totally separate issue.
I understand. I didn't know with this if it was going to be a combination where they would take both.
No, this is not. We already negotiated a contract with recycling on a different matter.
At another meeting, could you perhaps tell us if there are any companies that are nearby that would accept the higher numbers for the plastics?
For the recycling?
Yes,
Yeah, I can look into that.
thank you. I think that there's a lot of this plastic that now is just being thrown into the regular trash, and perhaps we need to make the manufacturers themselves more responsible as far as making things that are really
Yeah.
recyclable.
Plastics are very tough right now because the recycling market is being destroyed right now because all the plastics used to get shipped to China, and now China's walls are closed. They don't want any of it. So there's just nowhere to send it right now. That's the problem of why they're not accepting all the plastics, because there's not a lot of options, and I will look into it, but there's not a lot of options of sending recycling materials in the state of Connecticut. Willimantic Waste is about this almost only game in town, and they're the ones that set what they take and what they don't take. Right now, they got to throw out glass. We put in our glass in our recycling thing, and they have to throw it out because there is no place that they can sell it. I mean, recycling is all about taking what is brought in, sorting through it, putting it in piles of number twos, plastic, cardboards, and then you sell it off. And right now, there is no resale for glass. I mean, hopefully, the recycling market could change. Right now, it's the worst it's been in 20 years, the recycling market. So it could change, but right now we're in a very bad lull. So that's what drives what they accept. We have been stepping up our enforcement of the recycling in town, and hopefully people aren't getting the little flags on their cans, because if people are throwing pillows in there, they're throwing clothes in there, they're throwing vacuum cleaners. We get TVs in the recycling can now. That's a recyclable thing, not in the can. So the whole recycling idea is something, and I was actually going to work with Lori from the school about getting the message out of how to recycle, because it's a big issue.
Mhm. Well, but the follow-up to that is this going to affect our tonnage?
What, this amendment?
The fact that we now have to include the recycling materials into the regular trash?
No, just so I do. We're still doing single stream the same way. That
Okay.
amendment is not
Right.
changing anything we're doing. It's not changing the tonnage. Everyone's still going to put their recyclables in the single stream gray can, their trash in the brown can. That doesn't change anything. All this really is doing is changing where the trash goes.
Okay. And will we see any increase or decrease in the mileage?
Well, there'll be a little bit more mileage, but a lot of times when we go to Covanta, because they only accept about 40% of the business in Covanta is towns and 60% is spot waste, and not to get too much, but that's a lot of trailers that can come from everywhere. So we have a lot more wait time at Preston than we do up in Lisbon. They have incentive that if we have to be there more than an hour, they get fined $75. And also, the town gets paid by SCARA for a transportation subsidy, so we're going to get a higher subsidy to drive the extra 8 miles. So it really is negligible for us to go the extra 8 miles. We get in and out quicker because it's all highway, and we're going to get compensated. SCARA is a great deal, and they're going to compensate us more for having to drive farther.
Thank you very much for the information.
Yep.
I have one question, Mark.
Mm-hmm.
Did you say we're getting a reduction in our tipping fees of 20%?
No,
With this contract?
not for the budget. We are getting, if you're not aware, the tipping fees right now are in the mid-80s,
Yep.
but our tipping fee is set at, like the town of East Lyme and every town gets charged $58, and the executive board sets that rate every year. So SCARA is subsidizing from 85 to 58. So if it goes from 85 down to, I think the new contract's 68, SCARA is still subsidizing, but they don't have to spend as much to subsidize, because they were able to raise a lot of money over the years because of their energy contract on burning the trash. So it's not going to change our budget at all, but it does
Okay.
save the coffers of SCARA to be able to subsidize us for longer.
Okay.
And we're hoping they can subsidize us for the next 10 years.
And this doesn't start to 2021?
That starts January 1st to 2021. We're actually sending our trash there now because they're still sending us a better deal, SCARA, to go up there. So we're sending our trash there now.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks. Okay. Joe, you're on the executive board. What's your title?
Vice President.
Will you be president presumably next year and all
very
that?
soon.
So.
Not as distinguished as Jack, but I will be the
Well,
president.
no, and you won't
But
have your
I'll be
own
the president.
painted parking space either. But
Yeah, the current president should be retiring the next year or so.
It seems to
Great.
me I do recall you were on the student council.
Yeah. You've had too many people, Mrs. Hart.
Thank you for your service, and obviously you're taking care of us not only here in town but up at SCARA, and you're taking care of all the towns. It's a great organization. We must probably have the lowest trash costs per ton in the state.
Well, the whole Hartford area is paying, I think, about 85, and we're paying 58. We're paying 68, and Scare is charging us 58.
But the taxpayers are paying 58.
Yeah.
You're right, so they're paying 85.
And that fee hasn't changed in 10 years.
Yeah.
It's one of the ways I'm able to stabilize the public works budget, because it's not increasing, because we can vote to keep the same fee.
Yeah.
I have one vote.
As long as we're around, we'll keep the costs low. Good, great. Thank you, Joe, for your service again. We have a motion on the table. There's been no other questions or concerns. We'll call that vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? Now we'll go to 2A. Special appropriation, $69,000 for CNRE COA 5310 bus grant. These are our senior buses. We were awarded a grant, very competitive, I might add. There were probably 10 applications and I think 3 recipients. So we were fortunate enough that this money is coming to East Lyme to replace sort of our senior vans and our buses. And we all know Kathy Wilson, our director of the Senior Center.
Yes.
Thank you.
So the 5310 grant is a grant through the Department of Transportation. It comes out usually annually, and this is the second or third grant that I've written that we've received. So we've been awarded the grant. Sometime in the spring, I'll go up to DOT and they'll help me design the vehicle. It gets purchased through some sort of grant, state funding, whatever. I'm not really sure about that end of it, but what will happen is then the vehicle will become available typically late summer, early fall of 2020. So right now, the estimate of the vehicle is about $69,000. The 5310 grant will pay 80%. The town has to pay 20%. And I told Anna Johnson that last time that we did this grant, we went over a little bit by what the estimate was. I think at that time it was 67, and we went over a little bit. And the Powerhouse account through the senior center paid for the difference. And typically that was about the driver's actual chair can move up and down, and that was an extra expense, but the drivers really wanted it because you have different sizes of people getting into the vehicle, and this way it can be accommodating to them. It's more comfortable for them, so the Powerhouse account paid for the difference. So if the actual structure of the vehicle comes in more than $69,000, then the Powerhouse account will pick up the difference. But we have to have that the town is prepared for the $69,000 bill, and it hasn't happened that the town had to pay the $69 and then get reimbursed, but it has to have to be in a position to say yes, that we can do that before they will let the vehicle come. So that's sort of what this meeting is about. So I do have 3 vehicles. So there's 2 that are 2011s. One of them has 115,000 miles on it. One has about 86,000 miles on it. And then I have a 2017, which has almost 29,000 miles on it. We run about 1,200 miles a month with one vehicle, and we run about 800 miles with the other vehicle. And then the third vehicle is my backup vehicle, because I'm basically running 2 vehicles a day. And with quarterly maintenance, with vehicles needing to go down that for unprepared or unanticipated reasons, I can't live with 2 vehicles. It's just too hard. We're just transporting too many people. So we do have the 3, so I do have the backup vehicle. And there are times, not often, but there are times when we do run with 3 vehicles during the day. So that's all I have. Would you have anything for me?
We've gone through this. We get these new buses about once every 3 or 4 years.
Yes.
Yeah.
Put a motion out first?
We can, well, let's have questions.
Do you plan on keeping the 4 vehicles, or are you going to sell one off?
There's 3,
Right.
and I understand. So the 4th vehicle will come out of the rotation, and I'm going to leave that up to Public Works as to what they want to do with it.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Because they're responsible for the maintenance of it, and they'll make a determination whether there's value in it to sell. If it's roadworthy, can the schools use it? But as it gets older, it's also a safety factor. Other questions from Mrs. Wilson? Well, we put a motion out there, see if there's anything else.
Move to appropriate $69,000 in CNRE Fund 32 for the purchase of a new 12-passenger and 2-wheelchair bus to be utilized at the senior center. Delivery expected between July to October of 2020 to an account to be established titled COA DOT 5310 bus as follows. $55,200 from the Connecticut Department of Transportation 5310 grant, and to transfer the town share in the amount of $13,800 from Fund 32, account number 32-70-300-500-100, town project allocations, and to forward to the Board of Finance for approval, and this requires a town meeting.
Second.
Motion and seconded. Any further comments? I want to be crystal clear that we're not growing the fleet.
We are not growing the fleet.
Yeah, not your fleet, but not the town's either. If we're gonna put this bus somewhere, if it's value, then something else is coming off that is aging out. We've cut the fleet down over the last couple of years that I've been around, and it's always been important to me, is making sure that, hey, we gotta also watch as we add vehicles to make sure we're taking them off. The cost of insurance, the cost of maintenance, and the general use of these vehicles adds up. So, always trying to stay efficient as possible. I'll call the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? Terrific. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy. Our next, finally, a presentation. We've been waiting so long for it. Presentation from the Conservation Commission, but it's not that. It's the Commission of Natural Resources. Conservation. Help me out, Roseanne. What is it?
Conservation of Natural.
Conservation of Natural
Committee for the
Resources.
Conservation of Natural Resources.
Yes,
Subcommittee for Sustainable Connecticut. Say that twice.
Right. So we're all on board with this Sustainable Connecticut program. As you remember, it came in before us to get on board with this over a year ago, more than likely. But in the meantime, we've charged the commission to carry out the tasks. And how you doing?
It's fine. It's good.
Penny, why don't you introduce yourself, and then I'll let you go right into your...
Penny Howell-Heller. I'm here representing...
Penny, could you pull your mic down just a little bit closer to you?
Sure.
Great, thank you.
I'm short.
Why don't I introduce them?
Yes, go ahead.
Penny Howell-Heller, who is the chair of the subcommittee. Laura Ashburn is here this evening she sort of served as the co-chair. So this was a subcommittee of the commission. Mr. Harvey Beeman also served. He's not with us this evening, but Don Danilla, another member of the commission, is here tonight, and they're in the front row. And I would ask that they be allowed to participate in the meeting.
Of course.
After giving the report and respond to questions.
Absolutely.
So, thank you.
Okay. This is Helen.
We started, for those that need a little summary very quickly, we started last March when you all voted to participate in this statewide program. We worked for between March and August to submit our final report on 10 different action categories. You've got it on paper here. I won't go through what the whole point of the program is. I have to give a shout out to the interns that were provided to us. They were excellent, and that was the first thing that was really nice about this particular program is we got some student interns that were fantastic and very hardworking, helped us out quite a bit. Took a lot of workload off Gary and some other people that might have had to do it themselves, which was not going to happen because they're overworked already. But there were 8 topics that we had to cover. We had to do at least one action on each one of them. And then 9 was to look back on one of the action plans and come up with an equity toolkit, which I won't go into the whole thing. It took me 2 workshops to figure out what that was. Then there was an innovation extra. We got all of those. We submitted 330 points. We only needed 200, so we were way over the top. And most of it was work that was already done. I think the town got a lot of good kudos for a lot of the sustainable type programs. And this is soup to nuts, as you can see, that there are many, many topics. It's all over the place. And you can get credits for many different things. I'm not going to go into all of that. You can read it at your leisure. But I did want to go into the recommendations that came out of that, because this is the point, that the whole program is to get the towns to work together, and at least in our case, to also to get the town internally to work together for certain goals that are going to save some money, make things more energy efficient, and just work better. The recommendations, I'm not sure, did they get copies of this?
We did.
Okay.
Yes.
Then I'll assume you've got it in front of you. The first couple are fairly boilerplate, to work with the CPACE program. A topic that was for the economics. For the well-stewarded land and natural resources, that was the biggest part of the program, which is why the Natural Resources Commission was granted doing this. We had 11 different actions. But the only thing I'll point out for the recommendations is to ensure that hazard mitigation plans are included in all roadway modifications carried out by the town or DOT. And of course, our major road is being ripped to pieces right now. And we are concerned that hazard mitigation, now's the time to do it. Now's the time to make sure that if there's any kind of oil spill on 95, that there is a mitigation plan, and nobody wants to come back and put them in later. And I'm not sure whether the town needs to work with DOT, and that's difficult.
We are.
Yeah.
We are. So I don't mean to interrupt, because I'm very interested in your presentation, but the road work that's going on now isn't the 95 project that your report speaks of. It's really just Flanders Road upgrades. But that 95 project is huge, and the DOT has been clued in on our need for hazard mitigation over our aquifer, and that's been abundantly clear by your commission.
Yeah.
But it's priority.
Yeah, because you have to be way ahead. I mean,
Yes.
by the time they actually, dig up the road and mix
Oh, yeah,
it, that's way too late.
It's part of the engineering right now.
Yeah, it's part of the planning. The other part is the climate change. We didn't get any points for the climate thing that we gave the consultant, because they felt that we needed to go on and actually do some of the recommendations. And the good part about that is that then they did recommend this, and this is something I'm very familiar with. The Nature Conservancy will provide workshops, maps, and that sort of thing if we want to go forward with completing the critical roadway alterations and drainage improvements for sea level rise, and encouraging living shorelines in lieu of armoring the beach. Anybody knows there's a lot of seawalls and that sort of thing. And the Nature Conservancy will provide personnel who are very skilled in this sort of thing to help us and guide us in this, should the town want to proceed and work more on climate change. We have an awful lot of vulnerable salt marshes and wetlands that might need to be looked at. I know when Sandy, the roads down by the beach got washed out, but that's one recommendation that was made. Moving on to topic 5 for transportation, what Laura has already started, and we did a little bit on but didn't get very far, was this Complete Streets. And with the traffic safety, or whatever they're called, the traffic safety group, it now is in the, it's in the headlines, and it's in